So you may be wondering what distinguishes an interdimensional artist from any other ism that may have existed. Well, of course I appreciate surrealism and cubism and all the various isms, for they have all brought forth and drawn unto them like-minded individuals who have then cohesively sought to conjure up wonderful creative embellishments to exonerate that particular foci. Hello everybody, this is BALA of the Galactic Glyphs Gallery here in Gainesville, Florida at the time being. This gallery will pop up internationally. Look for it in a countryside near you. I have many personal works on the wall involving many different materials. I'm always experimenting. We have the laser cut acrylic glass. We have the LED lit up multi-dimensional exhibits. And I'm going to take you on a little tour here in the main gallery space. So come with me. So right here is a sculpture that's about 3 feet tall. It's made out of wire wrap armature. You can see on the base there's wheels, and that's just a whimsical, fun way of giving a little mobility to this very bizarre sculpture that I call the Saint. And you may see there up at the headpiece, it's kind of got the halo around the type of head. And this is just one organic way the biomorphic form comes about. These are all of my works, whether it's painting or sculpture, is dealing with what I consider to be beings of rectilinear design. Now, I have recently produced a number of paintings that are very abstract in nature, and it's the result of taking work from previous years and working over it, which gives me a very deep layered effect. And the fun thing about this is it really allows me to loosen up and just make marks where the marks don't have to mean anything. They don't have to represent anything. And then your mind is kind of set free within the piece to decide what it is you see, and overall, an emotional content of, what is the vibration that it gives you? Is it a peaceful, joyous, happy impression? I would think so, because my spirit is set free in this exercise, and that's what should be conveyed. As a interdimensionalist, the new and innovative expression is that we are not exhibiting forms and features of this world. They are not in the psyche, they are not in the dream realm. This is soul transference, the actual transmission of other realms and realities that exist on other planes and dimensions. Therefore, as an interdimensionalist, we go inward through the sacred processes of meditation and other such modalities which might assist in that ability to then soul travel and bring back into this realm those objects, forms, visions that have not existed within this realm prior. Now, a piece like this is a little more structured in that I go with a specific abstract shape and I work it until I get it to have qualities that give it depth. Right here, this is titled Transparent Pregnancy. So you do have this quality of being able to see the interior of the shape, and the exterior has this iridescent teal blue to it. Moving on to this painting, which is titled The Matchmaker. This one is a Aboriginal type central form shamaness creature, which has a very Egyptian type quality. You know, I allow the abstraction to take its own form. Obviously, I'm using a female body structure in the central figure, but then the figure on the left and on the right are very comical, alien, extraterrestrial type beings that do not have a particular sexual orientation. And so these beings on either side are being introduced to each other by the central figure. Thus, the title is The Matchmaker. Now, this piece here is working with more recognizable characters, yet abstracted. The one on the far left having more of the feminine features. But I guess it's definitely a play of blending sculptural qualities to human figures. And the way this one came out is interesting in that each of the figures looks like it's going into its own type of closet or doorway, which is, imagine a family, a male and a female figure with the children. They're a unit, and yet they're all going their separate ways in life. The title of this one is Sculptures Coming Out of the Closet. So it also brings up concepts of what is the, what is being revealed about them and their own traits. Now this piece here, it may take a while for your mind or eye to adjust, and maybe it never will. It's one of my glyph-like shapes covered in a cowhide, which is, of course, a faux cowhide fabric. And this shape, to me, looks like it has an udder here. So it's a cow with an udder, mother cow, mounted on a pink shag carpet, and it's called The Vegan Cow Celebrates. So if you just contemplate that title for a second, it's kind of funny. This is a larger piece I've recently completed. It's in the same series with the first one we saw, where I'm just working over layers of material. And I guess the most basic primal shapes that come to me in mark making, in a very loose and spontaneous way, creating squares, circles, smudges. And what's enjoyable about this is making the paint behave as though it's interlacing, and that you're balancing all the various colors that you end up using so that there's a cohesiveness to the total piece. And this one's entitled Urbanites Commute. And what kind of happens is the black line in there starts coming out as if you see some Aboriginal characters. I'm using that word again because I love tribal things. Tribal characters in there. Now, here I go again with a very fuzzy fabric It's the blue shag carpet, and this was a laser cutout mirror where the negative crashed to the ground and broke. So I used the negative part and let the shag come through the positive, if that makes sense. And this is called Cookie Monster's Liberation. So just like we all grew up with Sesame Street and the Blue Cookie Monster, that is an ode or homage to that character. This is one of my premiere pieces. You'll see this on the cover of my website. It is called The World Redeemer. It's about 3.5 feet wide by 3 feet high. It is a wood panel with sculpto mold, so built up, shaped, and tiled with a beautiful iridescent tile. And therefore you get the shapes and qualities. I would love to exhibit this and a series of pieces done like this on wallways in an airport or other such large, magnificent walls of a wealthy person's home. So this is the ancient future of an interdimensional shaman. I use that term, and with all respect to our native Aboriginal cultures who have trained their shamans. There is a neo-shaman, and this is the journey of the ages. So welcome one and welcome all. I'm going to skip over here to a central sculpture. Now this one's going to take a moment to digest, and I need better lighting in here, but we'll work with what we got. This is 2 giraffes that were carved out of wood and came from Indonesia. And because they were old and beat up, and I decided to give them alien spacesuits, which I consider more like a Martian landscape suit. If you look closely at the material, it's pebbly and a very unusual paint consistency, very matte, and yet the 2 of these characters, it's a mother, the larger one being the mother, and child, in which you just get all these unusual shapes. Now, they are communicating with these 2 obelisk shapes, and I think I may even include a mirror inside of each of these that they would be reflecting one another. Now here is a painting that's more like a dreamscape. It's titled The Wellspring. And this just has a lot of different little images and drawings throughout it. And I kind of goofed up here in that I'm walking around with a camera on a tripod. Okay, this one here is what I would consider a painting of 2 sculptures interacting. It's entitled Discussion Amongst Nobility. You have an ink wash in the background that kind of gives this bleeding edge, and then acrylic painted characters. And this painting here, 4 feet by 5 feet, is entitled Easy Rider. And even though it's quite an abstract conglomeration, there's a motorbike. This is a wheel and handlebars and a crazy rider on there, but only I see that. And if I didn't title it this or whatever, somebody may never notice that. But, you know, I'm giving a hint towards something I saw in it. But anyone can interpret it how they like. Now, the last sculpture here we'll preview is what's called the Oompa Loompa Relic. So this is a wood shape with plaster build out so that it appears in its three-dimensional form. And it would be nice to have these cast in bronze. Right now it's in a polished kind of wood stain, which gives it a glossy chocolatey look. So thus the title, Oompa Loompa Relic, cast in pure dark chocolate. On the wall on this side, this is the final pieces we'll look at here, are a series of round wood cutouts with relief shapes on them. They're covered in a fabric. So you've got various types of fabric. That's a large painting, or a medium-sized painting that was worked with over several layers. A wire sculpture that has stone clay, and one guy commented that this could be called the artist's DNA. Kind of some DNA loop in there. But it is a whimsical and fun piece if you think of Dr. Seuss, and imagine this really large as if kids and people were climbing and playing on it. Galactic couple. These are 8-foot panels. They're wall relief, sculpture relief pieces. If you come up close, you can see that there's gold foil, silver foil, and that they are acrylic paint with a beautiful fur lining framing them. And I like the contrast of materials. The other title that I think I really want to go with on these is Nobility of the Ancient Giant Race. So that brings up some interesting questions that we can all look into. This is 2 pieces of a series of 12 circles that have been cut out of wood and then covered in fancy fabrics. Those 2 pieces actually swivel on a Lazy Susan so you can view them from different angles. a book I wrote called Living Light Language, Creation Speaks. I even did some of the artwork. Yeah, it's a metaphysical journey into comprehending that all things within creation are encoded geometries. Yeah, divine intelligence has permeated all of existence with encoded information that our subconscious digests, and the more we can bring that into the conscious awakening, we can have deep revelations of the meaning of existence. It's a wonderful little book. It's available on Amazon. You know, I wrote a book back in the 1930s as Vasily Kandinsky called The Spiritual in Art. I consider this the companion guide. Check it out.